Do you ever feel exhausted from trying to control everything? Work, other people, the future, only to watch it all fall apart? One tiny mistake can crash your mind. You get angry, anxious, in denial, as if resisting hard enough could change reality. The harsh truth: the more you fight, the more you suffer. Pain doesn't come from the world. It comes from your inner resistance. Peace isn't forcing life to obey you. It's learning to accept what is. If you're tired of trying to control everything and still failing, comment 1. This lesson is for you. There's a pain we all know, watching things fall apart despite our best effort. You plan carefully, think through every step, believe that doing it right guarantees a smooth path. Then someone you trust betrays you. Work goes wrong. Your health slips without warning. You ask, why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? In that moment, instead of accepting, we start thrashing and sink deeper into despair. That's when we need Marcus Aurelius's lesson from nearly 2,000 years ago. Acceptance. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a cloistered philosopher. He was an emperor carrying a vast Roman Empire through war, revolt, plague, and loss. He buried children and friends, witnessed the Antonine Plague kill thousands, and suffered years of illness himself. Yet he didn't curse fate. In Meditations he wrote, "Accept whatever happens as if you had chosen it." Simple words, the strength of a mind unbroken by events. For Marcus, acceptance isn't surrender. It's the height of reason, seeing life not through "it should be" or "it shouldn't be," but as it is. Stoics believe the universe runs by a natural order. Logos. Every event, good or bad, has its place in that flow. Our task isn't to force the universe. It's to live in harmony with it. When we accept, we stop fighting reality. We move from victim to clear-eyed witness. To accept, we must get past the ego, the part that craves control, victory, and having life go our way. The ego believes if we're good enough and right enough, life will pay us back. When it doesn't, we feel bitter. Marcus knew this. He had absolute power, yet suffered betrayal. He was wise and virtuous, yet couldn't stop Rome's decline. Instead of rage, he chose acceptance. He wrote, "Don't hope that events will happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will have peace." Think of your life. How many nights have you stayed up searching for a solution to something unchangeable? How many months or years have you spent fighting what was already done? An ended relationship, a failure, a loss. When we stop resisting and admit, this happened because it was bound to, a new freedom appears. Freedom from the pain our own mind creates. Marcus likened life to a river, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild, but always moving forward. The foolish try to hold it back and exhaust themselves. The wise learn to swim with it, using the current to move ahead. With acceptance, you aren't swept away by circumstance. You grow through it. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" Acceptance isn't passive endurance. It's the courage to face reality, your fears, your limits. The one who accepts sees most clearly. No running, no blaming, no denial. Only observation, understanding, and action on what is within control. In war, Marcus didn't sit and pray for peace. He led, acted fully, and stayed calm when outcomes weren't his to choose. He knew he could command his actions, not the end result. Today, this lesson matters even more. Prices swing, jobs vanish, news exhausts us. Every day we meet what we cannot control. Other people, time, health, markets, even our moods. Without acceptance, we spiral into endless anxiety. With it, we pause, observe, and tell ourselves, things are happening as they must. That is an inner anchor. Marcus wrote, nothing happens to anyone that nature does not ordain him to bear, not to lull us, but to wake us up. Seeing life as part of a larger order reduces resentment and grows understanding. We begin to notice meaning within pain, lessons within loss, opportunities within adversity. That is where maturity starts. Look back at a wound that once broke you, betrayal, unemployment, the death of someone you love. Then you felt life was against you. With time, you may see it shaped you, stronger, wiser, deeper. With acceptance, life stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. Marcus lived this to the end. As plague spread and his body weakened, he didn't complain. He wrote, whatever comes is part of nature. Not loss, transformation. Even death wasn't tragedy to him. It was a return to nature, to the Logos he trusted. That posture gave him peace in his final hours. We can do the same. When a door shuts, don't bash your head against it. Accept that its purpose is complete. When someone leaves, accept that their path only paralleled yours for a while. When plans collapse, accept that life is training you to be more flexible. Acceptance doesn't make you weak. It makes you unbreakable. Stoics don't chase an easy life. They build a steady soul. Acceptance is the first step. When you stop fighting reality, most pain fades. Events are just events. Your judgment makes them torment or tranquility. There's quiet power in the words, I accept. It isn't weakness, it's self-knowledge. Everything is temporary. Life owes us nothing. We're free only when we stop depending on what we can't control. With acceptance, the mind becomes still like a lake, and in that stillness, wisdom speaks. So if you're struggling with the unchangeable, a breakup, a dashed dream, a heavy event, remember Marcus. Accept whatever happens as if you had chosen it. When you do, you stop being fate's victim and become its partner. That's when peace begins. If you're drained from trying to control the uncontrollable, comment 1. If you still think resistance will win, comment 0. This lesson, acceptance, freedom, peace, may be the doorway to a deeper, calmer, truer life. Sometimes we think we're fighting for what's right, but we're only wrestling reality. We can't accept that all our effort and sacrifice can still end in failure. We think letting go is weak, a loss of control. Yet often, true courage isn't continuing the fight. It's standing still and looking truth in the eye. That's what Marcus meant. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. We fear the truths we can't change. We avoid them by overworking, self-deception, or blame. But none of that brings peace. Denial is like holding a broken door with your bare hands. It doesn't fix anything. It only exhausts you. The worst pain isn't the event. It's the time we waste resisting the inevitable. In his final years, war and plague tearing Rome, Marcus stayed steady. He had no illusion of total control. He did what he could, led the army, calmed the people, cared for the living, and accepted the rest. That is not passive surrender. It's the wisdom of seeing life as it is. No sugarcoating, no dramatizing. When we hear acceptance, many think softness. But acceptance is the mind's highest bravery. It takes strength to say, I've done my best. Now I observe. In that pause, the ego stops shouting and reason speaks. True acceptance doesn't paralyze. It creates space for clarity, purposeful action, and inner stability. Marcus wrote, If it's not within your power, do not let it rule your soul. Most suffering comes from confusing what we can and cannot control. Know the line, find freedom, forget it, become a slave to circumstance. Consider a simple case, being laid off after years of service. First comes rage, denial, blame, but reality stays. While some drown in resentment, the Stoic asks, what is within my control? My response, my preparation for what's next, my view of my worth. In that moment, power returns. Acceptance shifts focus from what we can't change to what we can do. That's the power of acceptance. It turns emotion into action, suffering into insight. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That tiny shift reshapes your inner world. Life is a river. It never stops. It may be gentle or violent, but it moves. Fools try to dam it and are swept away. The wise learn to swim with it. Accept that life moves and you stop panicking when things change. Everything has its time. Even pain has a lifespan. Nothing lasts forever, not even sorrow. Sometimes acceptance begins with silence, a short pause where we stop resisting and simply breathe. The mind stops screaming, this can't be happening, and whispers, this is what's happening. In that stillness, things get clear. The world isn't punishing you. It's just unfolding. Storms aren't sent to sink ships. They're part of the sea. The smart sailor doesn't curse the wind. He trims the sail. Acceptance is humility before life. It reminds us how small we are in a vast universe. Some laws lie beyond us. Some outcomes will never be ours to command. Acknowledging limits doesn't weaken us. It makes us real. When illusions die, wisdom grows. Stoic acceptance doesn't kill ambition. It matures it. Only when we're not chained to outcomes can we act purely. The person who works from love of the work is calmer than the one who works to force success. Marcus aimed for what reason called right. If results failed, he stayed serene. He had lived by virtue in step with logos. That's the difference. Acting from control versus acting from understanding. The first is tense, worth tied to results. The second is peaceful, worth rooted in right action. Acceptance turns action into art, an expression of wisdom and freedom. At its deepest, acceptance is learning to love reality. When we stop fighting what is, we see its beauty. Failure can open new insight. Loss can teach us to cherish what remains. Pain can spark awakening. Marcus wrote, true love of the world is not just enduring it, but seeing the good within each event. This isn't numbness. It's a heart that has moved beyond fear. When we stop labeling everything good or bad, we see the whole. Life isn't rewards and punishments. It's one great picture where light and shadow both belong. Then we don't need to beat life. We simply live, fully, calmly, clearly. Deep acceptance rarely comes from theory. It comes from experience. After enough pain we learn, resistance prolongs pain. Acceptance dissolves it. Strength isn't suppressing emotion. It's seeing it, understanding it, and letting it pass. Marcus wrote, if you can't change it, change how you think about it. The world doesn't promise fairness, but we can live fairly with ourselves. Life doesn't guarantee happiness, but we can cultivate a peaceful mind. Acceptance is the road, quiet, solid, real. With acceptance, life stops being an endless war. We act not from fear or craving, but because right action is natural to a rational being. We don't need to prove anything. We live our nature, simple, honest, awake. There we find what Marcus called tranquility of mind. Not because life got easier, because we got deeper. Some suffering isn't from loss, It's from not knowing its meaning. Many live stuck in, why me? Stoics ask, what can I learn? That small shift changes everything. When you seek the lesson, pain stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher. Marcus wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Inside every hardship is a seed of growth, if we're calm enough to see it. Accept that pain is part of the journey, and you stop asking why and start seeking the purpose. What truly breaks us isn't the event, it's the belief that it's meaningless. Lose a job and you don't just lose income. You may lose your sense of value. Lose a person and you don't just lose them. You lose the feeling of being loved. See plans collapse and you don't just lose chances. You lose faith that effort matters. But each loss can strip away illusion and dependency. It leaves you raw, but truer, stronger, clearer. Marcus didn't just write this, he lived it. Amid plague, rebellion, and illness, he didn't blame fate. He wrote, all that comes is part of nature. Not coldness, clarity. We suffer when we imagine we deserve exemption from trials. See yourself as nature's apprentice. Each event is a class, each pain, a test, each rising again, a step toward wisdom. Some lessons only arrive through pain. No theory teaches patience like waiting in uncertainty. No book teaches compassion like being hurt. No lecture teaches courage like standing up alone. Pain is a harsh but fair teacher. It spares no one, and it shapes all who stay awake. Stoicism doesn't avoid pain, it transforms it. Betrayed? Learn the value of honesty. Lost someone you love? Learn to love without possession. Failed? Learn to treat failure as evolution. Marcus insisted, no one can harm you unless you allow it. No event can destroy you unless your mind surrenders. Think of a crisis you thought you'd never survive. You cried, raged, despaired. Yet time passed, and you changed. Braver, deeper. That's nature's work. Everything has purpose, even when we can't see it yet. Acceptance lets the lesson appear. Acceptance opens the door to learning. In resistance, the mind shuts. In resentment, meaning hides. But when you pause and say, this is what will it teach me? Pain becomes possibility. Everything can teach you. Insults teach self-respect. Betrayal teaches wise trust. Loss teaches unconditional love. Learn from all things, and life turns from random events into a path of awakening. Every hardship carries seeds of virtue. Trials invite patience, courage, self-control, kindness. Without pain, these are only ideas. As steel hardens in fire, people deepen in adversity. So Stoics don't run. They look straight at the flame, accept it, and step forward stronger. Transformation is a process. First we resist, then we tire, then we stop. In the stopping, we see. What we once cursed starts to make sense. Loss teaches letting go. Failure teaches humility. Hurt teaches love. This isn't empty comfort. It's a new vision. Life trains us. It doesn't try to ruin us. If you're in a storm, work collapsed, relationship broken, beliefs shaken, pause, breathe, ask, what is this asking me to learn? Patience, surrender, a course correction. Don't let pain pass without profit. Turn it into the substance of your growth. Marcus reminded us, you have power to endure and overcome what fate brings. That power is already in you, not in controlling the world, but in understanding each wind that hits your sails. When you understand, fear fades. When you accept, bitterness dissolves. When you learn, nothing defeats you. What blocks you today may become your greatest strength tomorrow. Cracks let the light in. wounds widen the soul. When you stop asking, why me, and start asking, who can I become because of this? You rise to a new level of wisdom and peace. Sometimes you forget what you're even fighting. Each morning arrives heavy: work, money, opinions, tomorrow's unknowns. You think you're living, but you're just resisting, fighting reality, the past, even your own feelings. That inner resistance, not circumstance, exhausts you. Marcus said, if you are unhappy, it is not the thing itself, but your judgment about it, and you can discard that judgment whenever you wish. Pain isn't in the event, it's in our response. You can't calm the sea, but you can choose to be the panicked boat or the calm helmsman. That choice decides your inner freedom. We were raised in a culture that worships control. Work hard enough and life will bend. Adulthood teaches otherwise. The more we try to control life, the more we lose control of ourselves. We try to change people and get wounded by expectation. We cling to what is leaving and choke on fear. We protect ourselves from pain and end up living half alive, afraid to love, try, or be real. That's the quiet tragedy of modern life. Thousands of invisible chains binding us to what we cannot control. Others' opinions, future outcomes, what-ifs that never come. Marcus called them chains of the soul. We see the truth only when we dare to let go. The chains were self-made. Letting go isn't apathy, it's a deliberate choice. When you release, you don't lose things. You return them to nature, like letting a stone fall to where it belongs. You end the illusion that you control everything. And then you reclaim the one thing that is truly yours, your mind. Look closely at your life. How many nights lost to tomorrow's worries? How many hours punishing yourself over yesterday? How many flashes of anger and helplessness because reality didn't match your script? Resistance creates a gap between what is and what I want. That gap is suffering, except this is what is. Not good, not bad, simply is. And suffering dissolves. Marcus didn't write about peace as a vague idea. He lived it. In wartime, he wrote, if the waves rise, keep your ship steady. You can't quiet the sea, but you can learn the helm. Peace doesn't come from forcing silence outside. It comes from no longer fearing the noise. Letting go takes courage. The courage to admit some things can't be saved or changed and don't need to be controlled. It's a return inward, no longer dragged by outer currents. You begin to see clearly, steady, calm, unruled. You don't need an easy life to be at peace. You need a mind that doesn't resist. Then, no matter the chaos, you can stand at the center, not numb, but aware that emotions are waves, rising and falling, coming and going. As the observer, you are no longer their victim. Life is the ocean. The weak beg the waves to stop. The wise learn to steer. Accept waves as part of the sea, and you stop resenting them. You navigate, adjust, adapt, and that is true strength. Strength isn't control, it's flexibility. Most fear doesn't come from events. It comes from refusing to feel them. We don't fear loss, we fear the emptiness after. We don't fear failure, we fear how others will see us. We don't fear the future, we fear not being strong enough for it. Avoidance makes fear grow. When you allow yourself to feel sadness, pain, disappointment, weakness, the feeling begins to pass. Only avoidance makes it last. So Stoics don't delete emotion. They walk through it with reason. They don't deny pain. They listen to it. They don't force joy. They simply don't let sadness define life. From that balance, peace is born, not silence, but stability amid noise. With the art of letting go, life gets lighter. You're no longer ruled by who likes you or who doesn't, praise or criticism. You don't fear loss, it was never truly yours. You stop resenting the world, it's just doing what nature does. Strangely, when you stop trying to control, things often settle into the right places. Marcus said, "Do not try to make the world conform to your will. Train your mind to live in accord with the world." That is liberation. In harmony with nature, you stop fighting the current and become part of the flow. In that flow, all comings and goings carry meaning. Nothing is wasted, not even pain. If you feel trapped in fear, disappointment, or loss, remember, peace comes not from gripping tighter, but from knowing when to release. People, money, chances, joy, sorrow, they come and go. They don't come to stay, they come to teach. Cling and you bleed. Let go and your empty hands are free to receive the new. Life will keep testing you. There will be losses, sleepless nights, people you love who must leave. You can't change that. You can change how you pass through it with a heart that doesn't blame and a mind that understands it's all part of nature. In the end, peace doesn't come from calm seas, but from the sailor who no longer fears waves. If you're exhausted from control, if you've hurt from chasing what won't obey, comment 1. If you still believe resistance can conquer life, comment 0. One day you'll see. The only thing you truly need to conquer isn't the world. It's the fearful mind within. When you stop trying to control the world and start observing yourself, you see it clearly. Peace isn't in circumstances, it's in how you meet them. Stoicism doesn't tell you to run from emotion. It teaches you to understand it, accept it, and act with wisdom. Every event is a chance to train steadiness, gratitude, and self-mastery. Practice it today. When tension rises, pause, breathe, and ask, what can I control right now? That answer is the starting point of inner freedom. If you want to keep exploring the wisdom that helps you live calmer, stronger, and more meaningful, subscribe and let's turn philosophy into daily power.